Thank you for your interest in Cultural Vision Grants at ASC. My name is Liz Fitzgerald, and I am the Program Director for Cultural and Community Investment at ASC. Specifically, I work with our Cultural Vision Grant Program and projects that support creative individuals in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg community. Today it is my job to introduce you to the Cultural Vision Grant Program, to outline for you the specific goals that we have with this program, to introduce you to the eligibility requirements as well as the application procedures so that you may have a successful application experience with the Cultural Vision Grant Program. ASC seeks to support high-quality arts and culture projects presented within Mecklenburg County by creative individuals and nonprofit organizations that share our vision for using arts, science, history, and heritage to build community or to increase relevance and innovation. Specifically, we are looking for projects that will align with one of four goals. Your project might meet multiple goals, but really we want you to specify which one do you really want to advance with your project. Build community by connecting individuals across points of difference or to increase understanding and acceptance and positive regard between our communities is the first goal. Our second goal is to build community by nurturing, celebrating, and supporting the authentic cultures and creative expression of historically underinvested populations. The third goal is to increase relevance and innovation by activating non-traditional performance spaces or exhibition spaces that are close to where people live to make sure that we're providing programming that is happening throughout the Mecklenburg County region. The fourth goal is to also increase relevance and innovation, but by providing groundbreaking programming or participatory experiences that reflect the changing community in which we live. In addition to assessing the alignment with our Cultural Vision Grant goals, ASC looks for the following eligibility for Cultural Vision Grant applicants. All projects must have a primary purpose of arts, science, history, or heritage and take place in Mecklenburg County. The projects that we are currently considering must begin sometime between January 1st and June 30th of 2019. The project must be planned to conclude by June 30th, 2020. We welcome applications from both individuals and organizations who have a primary residence in Mecklenburg County. If you are a nonprofit organization, we require that your organization be in good standing with the Internal Revenue Service. If you are a group that does not have tax-exempt status, you may also apply for a Cultural Vision Grant, provided that you have a fiscal sponsor. You may contact ASC if you have questions about setting up a fiscal sponsor for your program. We do welcome collaborative projects for the Cultural Vision Grant. If you are working together with a partner organization, select which partner will serve as the primary applicant for the Cultural Vision Grant. That applicant will be responsible for submitting all initial paperwork as well as final reporting, and will also be the one who is fiscally responsible for adhering to the budget. Funds will be dispersed to that primary organization. Religious organizations and institutions of higher education may apply, provided that the project reaches the broader community and does not contain religious content. ASC's mission is to provide culture for all. Therefore, we have the following priorities to help make sure that we are welcoming programs that serve all those in our community. Specifically, we are looking for programs that are occurring in both Charlotte as well as each of the Mecklenburg towns. We are looking for communities north of I-85, along South Boulevard, along West Boulevard and the Central Avenue corridors, where historically not as many programs have occurred. Programs that engage communities in scientific and historic curiosity are most welcome, as well as arts programming. We also look to make sure that programs provided by and for the following groups are included in our grant portfolio: senior citizens, members of the Alana communities, African, Latino, Asian, Arab, and Native American descendants. We want programming that is provided by and for those who are differently abled, new Americans or immigrants to our community, low-income families, and LGBTQIA people. The following grant restrictions also impact eligibility for the Cultural Vision Grant Program. Organizations that have a current or active ASC Operating Support Grant or Cultural Vision Grant are not eligible to apply for Cultural Vision Grants. These organizations may serve as a partner or fiscal sponsor to others. Projects that are religious in nature or specifically serve only a church membership or a faculty and student body are not eligible. While we are certainly proud to support pre-K to 12 children during the school day through our education department, those projects are not eligible through the Cultural Vision Grant Program. We do welcome programs that are seeking to support our young community members after school hours or on weekends. Organizations that have delinquent paperwork for previously funded ASC grants are not eligible to apply. And likewise, ASC will not consider multiple requests from the same organization. We do have some exceptions to this for large 501c3 organizations that may be functioning in multiple locations, such as a library system, a YMCA, or a college or university. If that is your circumstance, please reach out to me to discuss if your project would be eligible for multiple requests. The Cultural Vision Grant Program is a competitive application process. Those that are selected for funding will be eligible for up to $10,000 to support the costs associated with their program, depending on the needs identified in their budget and the outline of their application. Grantees will be required to provide matching dollars toward their expenses so that we are leveraging the community support you already have with the dollars that ASC is providing. Generally, applicants will be required to match dollar for dollar in cash or through a combination of both cash and in-kind sources of support from the community. Cultural Vision grants are made possible because of the funding that we receive from many partners throughout the Mecklenburg County community. That includes the giving from individuals who contribute to ASC's annual fund drive, funds that we receive through the City of Charlotte, from Cornelius, Davidson, Huntersville, Pineville, Matthews, and Mint Hill, and also the support that we receive through the Grassroots Art Program of the North Carolina Arts Council. The application for a Cultural Vision Grant is a two-part process. The first step begins by submission of a letter of intent by Friday, September 7th at noon. This letter of intent is actually not so much a letter as it is an abbreviated application that is available on ASC's website. In this, we are looking for the alignment of your project goals with the Cultural Vision Grant goals, as well as understanding the feasibility for success within the grant period. All applications that are received by Friday, September 7th will be forwarded to the panel for consideration, provided that they are eligible for funding. The panel reviews each of the LOIs that we receive to select candidates who will be invited to submit a full application based on their alignment with our Cultural Vision Grant goals. Not every program will be invited to the full application, though everyone will receive notice by October 15th if their project is moving forward. Those projects that do move forward through the full application process will have the time to work with ASC staff and to put together the full details of your proposal for a final submission by Friday, November 30th at noon. Awards for the Cultural Vision Grant will be announced by January 2nd, 2019. Next, I want to introduce you to what that application system looks like and how you will access your application. You will find the Cultural Vision Grant application on ASC's website at artsandscience.org, and from there, following grants either for creative individuals or for cultural organizations. Under the section that says How to Apply, you will see a link that says click here to begin a new application, and that's where you want to start. Also from this website, once you have begun an application, you can come back here and access an application that you have already begun. Click the link that says Continue a previously started application if you've already begun one. The first page that you will get to when you follow that link will instruct you to sign into our online application system. If you've applied to ASC for previous funding, you'll simply use your email and the password that you've set up before to enter into the system and to start a new application. If this is the first time that you are applying to ASC, follow the link that says New Applicant. That will allow you to establish your profile so that you can save this application as well as any future applications. If you did apply before but you've forgotten your password, have no fear, we've got you covered. Follow the Forgot a Password link and it will send you a notification so that you can reset that password and access your already established profile. Once you've logged in, you will see that there are really 3 stages to the letter of intent. The first stage is to gather your contact information. With this, we are specifically looking for the information about the applicant, whether that is you as a creative individual or you as a representative of an organization. The contact person information may be the same as the organization information if you are a creative individual who's applying for this program. It may be different if this is a cultural organization. Finally, if you are not a 501c3 organization and you are applying with a fiscal sponsor, we do need to have that information of who your fiscal sponsor will be up front in the letter of intent application. The second piece of information you will provide with your letter of intent is the project information. We begin by asking you to identify which of the 4 goals your project is most directly aligned to. That's a drop-down box and you select the one that feels like the best fit. You will identify your project start date and project end date and also create a title for your program. Rather than being creative, this should be a descriptive title that's really a 1-sentence description of what you hope to achieve with your project. The following narrative will be a brief description of your project and how it will advance the goal of either building community or increasing relevance and innovation as described in the grant guidelines. This is your chance to really sell to our panel why you think your project is best aligned with the Cultural Vision Grant goals. We will also ask you to share any preliminary information about the project dates, times, locations. We know that at this point in your application that might not all be confirmed, but the more that you can give us to really understand how feasible your program is, the better off your application is going to do. We continue with selecting information about your project by asking you where it is located. As you can tell in some of the goals, where your project is located helps us evaluate what programs are going to help us make sure we're serving the whole of Mecklenburg County. Specifically here, we're asking for the physical address where the majority of your activity will occur. This might be different from your organization's home office address. If you don't know your City Council district number or your County Commission district number, you can follow the district locator link to access that information here. Another key part of your project information that we need to know is who the creative leaders are and what project partners you have in place that will help this program to be a success. Again, this is really helping us to understand the excellence of the program the commitment of the partnerships that you have in place, and the feasibility that this project is going to reach success. To help us determine what it's reasonably going to take for you to pull this project off financially, we ask you 2 questions. We ask you to give us the total amount of cash it's going to take for you to pull off this project. And the second question that we ask is for the total amount of cash you can reasonably anticipate getting from sources other than ASC. We certainly know that it takes more than cash to pull off a successful community program, but this information helps us understand the financial needs of your program. We do have a scheduling tool that's available in the top right corner of the application that will allow me to know when you are available for a call the week of September 4th. Be sure that you follow that scheduling tool and indicate your availability so that we can have that follow-up conversation. The other helpful resource that we have here is the opportunity for you to email a draft. You can email a draft of your application to me or to a trusted friend or individual who might also be interested in knowing about the work that you're doing and can give you feedback of whether you have really demonstrated the full information that a panel will need to know in order to determine if your application is a model for success with the Cultural Vision Grant Program. You are most welcome to review the information, and once you've uploaded all of the necessary documentation, to go ahead and submit the program. If you want to leave what you've provided and come back and finish out details later, you can press the Save and Finish Later button, and you will have the opportunity to make edits as you move forward. Once you have submitted, you will no longer have access to making edits or changes to your application. So wait to submit until you are affirmed that you have all of the right information that you need for a successful letter of intent. You will know that you've submitted your application because you will immediately receive an email confirmation. If you don't get that email, you probably haven't successfully submitted yet, in which case come back and check to make sure that you've provided all of the required information so that it can be uploaded and submitted by the September 1st deadline. The Cultural Vision Grant Letter of Intent will be evaluated really for 2 purposes by our community panel. The first piece is they're really looking for the evidence that the project you are proposing will advance the Cultural Vision Grant's objectives to build community and to increase relevance and innovation in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. The second piece that we're really evaluating at that time is that you have the leadership in place, both creative leadership and the kinds of committed partners it's going to take to bring this community building experience or innovative experience to fruition in the timeline that you've outlined. As you move to the full application, the panel is going to look for more detail. Specifically, they're going to look for evidence that your project has a defined audience and concrete plans for how to engage that audience. Marketing strategies, that you've engaged the community already in your planning process, all of that evidence that shows that you're really going to be able to accomplish your goals. We are also going to ask you to give us specific metrics and measures that show us how your project aligns with the Cultural Vision Grant goals and how you are moving those measures so that you can identify success. The third piece that we will be looking at in that full application process is evidence of a clear summary of revenue and expenses and the fiscal responsibility to achieve the goals outlined in your project. When you move to a full application, we're going to look for a fuller description of project activities, prospective audience, and marketing plans. While with the letter of intent, we're asking for the names of project leaders and who your program partners are. In the full application, we're going to look for bios and for letters of support to support that evidence. The full budget will outline both confirmed sources of funding as well as your anticipated sources of funding, and we will ask you to complete a goals and evaluation form that we have constructed specifically for the Cultural Vision Grant Program. I'm sharing that here so that you can see what our ultimate goal is as we're working on these applications. We're really asking you to align your project objective with the Cultural Vision Grant goal and to show us which parts of your activities are going to help move that objective forward and how you're going to know that you were successful in meeting those measures. We look forward to receiving your ideas for the Cultural Vision Grant Program. Do remember that we adhere strictly to the timeline that we have outlined here, and will expect all materials to be submitted by the dates as they are specified. Remember, all application materials must be submitted online in order to be considered for the Cultural Vision Grant Program, including the initial letter of intent. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for your interest in Cultural Vision Grants. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask us. We thank you for all of the creative work that you are supporting in our community, and we look forward to partnering with you in helping to achieve the goals that our community has identified, highlighting arts, science, history, and heritage as leadership that is necessary to make Charlotte grow.